Hi, I'm Tony Todd, and welcome to Throwing Heat. I'm here with my co-host, Ross the Boss, and today's guest is a two-time All-Star, 2007 MLB Comeback Player of the Year, and he just happens to be my friend. Welcome to the show, Mr. Dimitri Young. What's up, brother?
Hey, Tony. Hey, thank you for having me on. What's up, Ross the boss?
Good to have you on, Dimitri. Big fan.
Thank you. I see all that Cincinnati apparel behind you on top of the Phantom knockout punch from Muhammad Ali.
Oh, yeah.
Famous picture.
So,
Go ahead, Tone.
so Mita, growing up in Oxnard, California, did you ever dream about becoming a Major League Baseball player, or was your passion somewhere else?
No. My passion always been baseball, and I come from a Navy family. My dad was a former F-14 pilot, so we moved around every 3 or 4 years, and I played high school ball in Alabama for 2 years as a seventh and eighth grader at Alabama Christian Academy, then moved to Southern California, where I live in Camarillo, and my high school, Rio Mesa, is in Oxnard. And I was all state all 4 years, all CIF, all the good stuff. And I always dreamt of being a baseball player. Used to collect baseball cards that we'll talk about later.
Mhm.
I used to draw myself on baseball cards, and of course, playing the game, I always wanted to be a big league ball player. So yes.
Now, coming out of Rio Mesa, I believe it was class of 91, maybe?
Yes.
First round pick,
Yes.
I think fourth overall, maybe?
That is correct.
Now, the three guys that went ahead of you, did they make it all? Did they make it to the big leagues or no?
The number one pick did not make it to the big league. That was Brian Taylor, the New York Yankees. Number two, the Braves had Mike Kelly out of Arizona State, who was the consensus best college ball player. The number three pick was Stanford's Dave McCarty, who unfortunately passed away right after the Red Sox reunion in 2004. And then I was the fourth pick.
Wow.
I remember Mike Kelly. I'm an Arizona State grad. I remember Kelly very well. He was great. He made it to the big show, but then didn't make it that long. He was didn't have the same career as you, obviously, but he did make it. There you go.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So when you played when you were drafted, I mean, now it's like totally like different. I mean, now it's like televised. They're at people's houses. I mean, you get the video, you get the audio. Tony's going to parties for it. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, what was it like for you when you found out you were drafted by the Cardinals? I mean, were you just sitting at home waiting by the phone, or
You're probably like at McDonald's just waiting, and someone said, "Hey, well, hey, what? Tell us about that."
Well, let's go back in the time capsule to 1991, June 4th to be exact. I had a few friends over with my parents, and I want to say Channel 2 News or something out of LA came up, and
Jim Hill?
I found out the old-fashioned way. I got a phone call from Rio Mesa High School saying, yeah, is Dimitri Young home? Yes. Why are you calling me right now? Well, the St. Louis Cardinals called, and they said that you're drafted by them, and we were
Wow.
waiting for a couple of hours because of the time difference between East Coast and West Coast. So we was waiting around for like a good hour or so, and I was like, did I even go in the first round? And then they called me and told me that I was the fourth pick. After Rio Mesa called, the Cardinals called like 2 minutes later. So it was almost like, someone walking through the door, surprise, and then they put surprise on somebody else, and it was like, ah.
Now, was it the GM that called, or was it the current manager at the time? Who was it?
Oh, it was the GM. It was Dale Maxville.
And you got a signing bonus, I assume. I'm sure you got something. What was the first thing you bought with your money? I mean, there had to be something that you went to the store, or you bought something, a car, a baseball card. Who knows what it is? But what did you buy?
McDonald's.
That was the second thing I bought, Tony. The first thing I got myself. Well, I was actually 17 when I was drafted, so I had to rely on Larry and Bonnie Those are my parents to
Yeah.
to buy me a Toyota 4Runner, and it was red, and the initials on there was STLDDY. So everybody was like, "Oh, so you're still daddy?" I was like,
St.
"No,
Louis.
it
Yeah.
was Dimitri Dale Young."
Yeah. Got it. That's good.
Wow. Now, did you ship out right away, or were you at home for a few days before you left?
I was home till the when was it? The 22nd, because I signed on the 19th or the 20th. Waiting on the number 3 pick, Dave McCarty, to sign. I signed right after him, 10,000 less than what he got, and I got
Right.
385.
Wow. Now, after you signed that contract, how many new cousins did you have after that?
Oh my goodness, man! The hands came out like God knows what. But
Oh, yeah.
I left that to my parents. But the hands came out again when I got to the big leagues.
Oh, I bet.
And I was told a long time ago, the hardest thing to do, but you have to learn how to do this, is tell people no.
No, exactly. I totally agree with you. Now we're going to transition over to you being a number 1 pick, your brother being a number 1 pick. Now there's a possibility. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have a nephew who's a junior or senior this year.
He's going to be a senior.
He's going to be a senior. There's a good possibility he could be a number 1 pick as well, right?
That is correct. My nephew is Quentin Young. He just finished playing in the USA tournament they had out in Panama, and they wound up winning gold. He did all right. He could have done better, but that's just Uncle nitpicking. And he's currently going to San Diego today and playing in the MLB All American game, and then he's going to Arizona to play in the PG All American Classic.
Wow. I had the honor of meeting him when he was a freshman at the BBG event that Dominique Smith and JP Crawford and a few other guys put on every year. And he was a freshman. And I was literally looking up to him. Was he 6'6", 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'6".
But as a freshman, he looked like a grown man. And I said, "Hey, where's your family from?" Then he told me he was related to you. And I was like, "Oh, I see why." So, but everything has changed now as far as like recruiting. And you didn't have all this stuff coming out of Rio Hondo, correct?
No, we didn't have. We had the area code game, but that was a totally different format back in the 90s when it consisted of all the area codes in the state of California.
Wow.
So you remember LA had 13 different area codes, and so they had probably about 3 or 4 teams just out of LA alone. I was on the American Rookies team. That was like the all-star team of the all-stars, and we played, and then we went. My first year, we went to Seoul, Korea to play the Japanese and the Korean team, and the following year I went back and we played in Japan and played against the Japanese and the Korean team. And let me tell you how disciplined those guys are. Good God Almighty, man! They train like nobody's business. And don't be a guy that makes an error on the field.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You get taken out of the game, and we watched those guys run poles the rest of the game out in the outfield. Wow. It was like, you got to be kidding me.
And it's amazing. It's amazing that you say that, Dimitri, because I had the opportunity to visit Japan several times. My friend Alex Ochoa, he played for the Chunichi Dragons there, and literally
I played with him in Cincinnati.
Yeah, great guy. We love him to death. He's been on our show as well. But when you're talking about those pole to pole drills that they used to run, they ran them when I was there, and I was like, this is incredible. You know?
Yeah, and then they had those long spring trainings, like 2.5 months, and they wake up early and they train all the way to night, and then rinse and repeat.
Yeah,
and it was like, shit, I would have quit.
Exactly. And then Dimitri, and then after that, they'll go in the locker room and they'll smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, that couldn't have been healthy right there.
Yeah, I witnessed it.
I guess they made it work. I guess all that running gets the tar out of your lungs.
Yeah, they made it work, man. So
yeah. So Dimitri, let's talk more Major League Baseball with you. Yesterday, Barry Larkin, one of your teammates, was quoted about David Bell, the current Reds manager, that he's not satisfied with the job he's doing. The Reds are under 500. David Bell's had this job for a while. He has never had a winning season, and he obviously is. Barry's upset. I mean, I always thought Barry would be the manager of the team. eventually. I was hoping. I like his leadership skills. And he was just saying, like, I don't know where your take is with this, but he was saying that David tries to be friends with all the players instead of like being their manager. He's like a friend manager. And that doesn't really work in the locker room that much and doesn't really motivate the guys that much. It makes them too relaxed and kind of doesn't make them fear losing their job. I mean, what's your take on David Bell? I know you had Lou Piniella, correct, in Cincinnati? Was that your manager?
No, I had Jack
Who was your
McKeon
manager?
I had Jack McKeon and later Bob Boone.
He had Bob Boone and McKeon, but Larkin was talking about just comparing him to how Lou wasn't the player's manager. Lou was more of like Lou ran it a very tight ship. I mean, do you think, I'll just talk about Cincinnati. Do you think it's important for the manager to be more of a leader instead of like one of the players, or do you think it doesn't matter?
Well, I'm definitely on the outside looking in on this, and Larkins, he does television for Cincinnati, and so he's in the locker room. He sees how everything flows, and I mean Barry Larkin, on top of being the captain of the team when he was playing, he was also a Hall of Famer, and he also played for Lou Piniella when they won it back in 1990, the wire-to-wire team. So, I mean, his opinion is pretty warranted, actually.
Right.
And when you sign an extension and the team doesn't improve, I mean, you can look at the players, one, but you can also look at the leadership.
Right.
And a lot of time when you look at the leadership, if they're not having closed door meetings, if there's not furniture being thrown around, people in other people's faces to get a charge out of them, sometimes teams look at that and feel that they may need a change. I mean, there are a lot of teams out there right now that are like that. And, with the talent that the Reds have, are they ready for big time yet? Who knows? But
I mean, listen, Hunter Green and Ela De La Cruz, two of the best players at their position in the league. You could quote me on that. I mean, those guys are true superstars and the future of baseball. And I think they do have the players to at least be 500. Dimitri. I just it's frustrating being a Reds fan all these years, and Tony makes fun of me all the time because all he does is, "Did you guys win?" I say no, but Eli had 2 stolen bases. but I mean, it's been very frustrating the past few years with the Reds, and I just don't know if a change is a good thing. And I know that I just don't know what other things the Reds can do to mix it up.
Spend a little bit more money.
Yeah, that'd help. Did they have any major injuries that may have been the downfall to them not having success? Because I know that NL Central is pretty tight from top to bottom, and those guys play each other a lot. So that could also be a factor that they're canceling each other out. But to your point, Ross, if Larkin is saying that about the leadership, and Larkin's a very patient person, that must have been something that's been irking him for quite a while for him to actually come out and speak like that.
And you were at Cincinnati for opening day. You were in the parade with Pokey, right? Pokey Reese.
Yes, that was so overwhelming, man. I didn't realize over 100,000 people there, because I knew about the parade from playing, but I was never out there. I was on the field watching Shotzi 2 drop deuce all over the field and elephants and stuff. Right before
the players hated Shotzi and Shotzi 2. I mean, I talked to numerous players and they all hated that dog. I mean, everybody hated that dog.
Hey, did Larkin happen to bring up when the team was struggling that our shop would bring a Ziploc bag full of the dog's hair from shagging, and we'll have to get a pinch and put it in our back pocket as a sign of good luck?
Wow.
I remember a little bit of that story. I didn't know if it was true, but I mean,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, was she the worst owner in the league when you played? I mean, just to play with her. I mean, all the games and all the mental anguish you guys had to go through as players, and what she did with Kel Daniels and what she did with other players on the team. I mean, it was just, I was embarrassed, and I was a Reds fan, and I didn't even know the lady. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, do you have any personal stories about her?
No, because by the time I got over there from St. Louis after getting traded after the '97 season for Jeff Brantley, she was suspended by Major League Baseball. She had no rights to the team or anything like that. However, she was still able to come do the whole opening day thing with the elephant crap all over the place. And then the team, each year we had to go to her house for like some big dinner that she would have out there.
Yeah.
And it was a mandatory thing where I felt like I was part of a zoo exhibit because she had all her rich old friends and she had the cheapest of liquor there in a big old house. Yeah. Yeah,
she had like Popoff vodka, like the cheap vodka, and like
the worst possible version. Worst possible vodka, worst possible rum, the worst possible beer. How do you mess up beer?
I don't know, but talking about food and talking about you have actually you look unbelievable. I mean,
yeah,
I don't even recognize you anymore in pictures because you're half the man you used to be. Not mentally, but just physically. I mean, you're unbelievable. I mean, I know you hate talking about it. I know you talked about it probably every interview you do because it's like an unbelievable weight loss you've done. But just tell us about how much weight you lost and tell us how you did it.
Well, that was due to me becoming a diabetic, which I didn't know until the end of 2006. And then it took a whole lifestyle change on being able to control the numbers and stuff. And over the time, once I learned how to control it and been active, the weight came off and it pretty much stayed off. I gained a little bit because I'm not trying to make a team anymore. But yeah, I mean,
it looked great.
Oh, thank you. Well, especially the hairless.
Yeah, I'm digging the cornrows.
Tony gets his haircut every week. He's not getting cornrows.
No, I said I like Dimitri's cornrows. I used to have cornrows back in high school. When we rode horses to high school. You know, I'm a little older than you guys, so. But yeah, but no, I like that look on you. I like that look on you.
Thank you.
And I want to trans over to. This is from a fan. He has a question for you. His name is David Real. He's actually a huge Cincinnati Reds fan. So he says to you, your high-grade Hall of Fame baseball card collection was legendary and ahead of its time. As a previous baseball card collector, do you still collect your own baseball cards? Do you have a favorite Dimitri Young card? If so, which one? That's from David Real.
Oh, well, thank you, David. My favorite card. Oh, that's easy. This guy.
I'll tell you mine. Which year?
Hank Aaron. It was
what
54
year?
Tops. 54 Tops. It was his
rookie.
I had the PSA 10, yes.
You have PSA 10 on that one?
No.
I used to.
He used to. Now, I don't know if you know, Ross, this guy had one of the biggest, and correct me if I'm wrong, had one of the biggest card collections back in the day. Am I wrong or right about that?
No, it was a PSA 10 rookie card collection. So I would get the best rookie cards of all the players that had a PSA 10, pretty much all of them. I didn't get quite all of them. I didn't get the 52 Tops Mickey Mantle. Didn't have that one, but I did have Stan Musial's 48 Bowman rookie. Had Roy Campanella's 49 Bowman rookie. I had Hank Aaron's, of course, Ernie Banks, Harmon Killebrew. Did not have Sandy Koufax.
I'm an avid collector too. I don't have the collection you had, but I collected rookie cards, and I was really into conditions when I was a young kid. I mean, how did you get into collecting such a mass collection? I mean, something must have snapped to you, like, you know what, I can make money off this and enjoy doing this at the same time. What turned you to do this?
Back to my love for baseball growing up, because I played on the base league back in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and after the game, parents give you a couple of bucks. You get a hot dog or a hamburger, you get a drink, you can get some chips if you want. And they used to have box of baseball cards right there. and I'll get my grub. I'm not gonna skip food.
Right.
So I got that, and then I grabbed 2 or 3 packs of Topps baseball cards, and you know, open them up. That was when they were like 25 cents, 35 cents,
Yeah,
Mhm.
now it's
and
totally different. Now it's
yeah.
you need a credit card to buy baseball cards now.
And
It's a whole
so I would
different
I would
thing.
I would I would collect those rookie cards, and then over the years, I would still collect, and then when I got in the Pro Bowl, I go to these card shops and go pick out a rookie card and whatnot. And then it was when I was in Cincinnati.
Okay.
It was Danny Graves and myself. We did a card show, and what I just wanted a Pete Rose rookie card.
Mm.
That's all I wanted. So the guy, for monetary compensation, he wound up giving me a PSA 8 Pete Rose rookie 63 Topps, that's also has Ken McMullen on that card, who's an Oxnard legend
Mm.
out here, and his son John McMullen and myself are real close. And I got that baseball card, and then I was married at the time, and I was just sitting around in the all season doing nothing. And the ex-wife was like, "You need to find yourself a hobby." That opened up Pandora's box, and so I was on,
Uh-oh.
I was on eBay, and I'm
Mhm.
looking up all the cards. I go to PSA. I'm reading up on the grading standards and how they grade cards, and then from there I started sending cards in and getting them back. And then I was also buying off of eBay. And then as my contracts got a little bigger because I was playing well, I was expanding the PSA 9s. And then people were offering PSA 10s to me. And I was like, okay, I'll buy those. And then I sold the 8s and 9s and was solely going after PSA 10s. I was also doing football and basketball at the time.
Wow.
But then I narrowed it down because I love baseball. Football and basketball, but love baseball. And by the time I got to Detroit, signed a 4-year deal, it was like, shit, I'm going to be collecting for a while.
You kept all this stuff at your house? I mean, did you have a safe? I mean, how did you make sure it was when you were on a road trip or something and you could sleep at night? I mean, did you have like a way that people weren't going to get to your cards?
Oh, yeah. I had one of those safes from Bob Barker. One that you go, and then you have to turn that thing around.
I was worried about you. Whew. I mean, the baseball card industry is so big now, and I was collecting when I was a kid too. I used to go to baseball card shows. I used to wait in line to get stuff signed. I have hockey cards. That's how much I was into sports cards. And basketball, football, but more, baseball like we all did. Is there any player, like every year there's a player that I always buy a lot of, like last year was Ela De La Cruz. Before that was Ohtani. What player coming up are you kind of looking at that you think their baseball card is going to be worth a lot? There's so many young players right now, like Gunnar Henderson and those type of guys. I mean, is there any one player that you're like, the price is low right now, like a stock, and you know what, this player is just going to get better and better, and his baseball card's going to go up and up? Tell our audience who you like.
You're gonna like this one, Ross. I love Cam Collier.
Wow. Yes.
I like, he's going to be rookie of the year, I think, right? I mean,
When he
he's
gets
having
up
a
there,
great year.
he's tearing it up. And I coached with his dad, Lou Collier, doing the Hank Aaron Invitational and stuff like that. And when Cam was 13 years old, and you can get that from him as well, where Lou asked me to work with Cam, because Cam would be there both weeks. He'll be there with the young guys with himself, and then he'll stay the extra week when the big boys came. And so when he was working with the big boys, the thing was he was not using his hips. He was an upper body using kid, so he wouldn't use that lower body. And you see he got big ass.
Yes, he does.
And so we was able to get him to turn on the ball, and shortly thereafter he went to a PG tournament, and then he was getting ranked. I'm not taking credit for anything. I just showed him one little thing, and he just took off from that. And he would come to Hank Aaron every year till he graduated, and Lou would still have him come in and talk to the guys and stuff, because Cam is just such a great young man, great upbringing, and the way that he is, not only with his teammates, but how he is with people in general, where I feel that once he gets up there to the big league, he's going to be there to stay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think the guy has a huge future too. I got to start investing.
now, is there one Dmitri Young card that you love and you still have, or no?
No, I have all of them. You know,
Yeah,
the
you have a favorite though.
people. It might have to be my first one,
Mhm.
the upper deck one, where I'm just standing up there and I have uh, tape on my hands, which I did myself. It wasn't a professional job. The trainers didn't do it. And I'm standing up there, and because I wasn't on the major league team, they had to cross out the Cardinals. So it was just like a blank gray shirt. I'm standing there with a C243 Pro Stock at
Mhm.
at the instructional leagues when we had it with the Cardinals in St. Pete, Florida, where it was blistering 97 degrees in September.
Wow.
That's
And
great.
speaking of, you teaching Cam Collier a few things. I know your ultimate dream is, besides you becoming a baseball player, is to actually being a hitting coach in the big leagues. Am I right or wrong about that?
Oh, I would love that opportunity, but I mean, one thing that's going against me right now.
What is it?
I played.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I want to ask you about what do you think about today's, this so-called thing they call launch angle. Me
Oh, that
personally,
makes
I
me.
hate it, but you played at
I
the
want to
highest
puke.
level. Huh? Say that
I
again?
want to puke. I want to puke when I hear that word launch angle because I coached high school. I was at Camarillo for 3 years. Before
Mm-hmm.
then, I was helping Royce Clayton out at Oaks Christian. And these kids and their parents, they're so desperate to have the kids want to hit home runs.
Right.
And so we have a bunch of false prophets out here hitting gurus that are teaching the wrong thing
Mm-hmm.
to get these kids to try and hit home runs. And I mean, you can hit a home run in the cage because they're throwing underhand and the ball's dropping right into the bat head.
Yep.
The ball's going up, you're making solid contact. So they're like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
crushing. Then they get out on the field and you're throwing batting practice to them. And I call them a cagey hitter because they keep hitting at the top of the cage. And then if the ball actually gets out, you have the infielders calling for the fly ball. Or if they do get one to the outfield, they're calling for it. It goes about 700 feet up, about 200 feet out. And then they're wondering why aren't they getting hits in the game? And it's like, well, one, you're trying to hit the ball in the air. You weigh 130 pounds. What field are you hitting it out of? I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, you have to stand at second base and you still probably won't hit it out. And what happens, these kids eventually either turn into pitchers
Mm-hmm.
or they quit the game altogether if they don't fix that swing. Because you got to have a line drive approach to hit it out. You're doing this, you're getting on base. And I believe in getting hits in games.
Right.
That's how you're going to score, And what they're displaying in the big leagues with all of that stuff, what happens with these top tier athletes, they are so good that they're able to do it despite it being a bad swing, but they're not hitting for high average though.
Right.
And they're missing that four seam belt high fastball.
I just wanted to say, I'm an avid softball player. My team, I'm wearing the shirt right now. We won the championship in the Valley. We're unbelievable. But I tell my players the same thing. They all want to hit home runs, and I'm saying like, no. You hit line drives. If home runs will come. But if you all try for home runs, it's an easy fly out to the outfield, and that's that's a discipline that these players don't have anymore. It's either home run or bust, and you can tell how many strikeouts are going on. And I even told Tony yesterday, I don't think the batting average champion in the National League is going to bat over 300. I don't. And,
look last year. Look, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ross, but look last year.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm saying last year though, but did they may have 8 guys over 300, maybe?
8 or 9. It was
8 or 9, right?
Okay, I'm just saying this, guys. I'm just talking about this year. I'm not talking about the past. I live in the future. I'm just kidding. But I mean, I'm just talking about this year. It's like strikeouts are up again, and it's just it's hard to watch sometimes. I mean,
and Dimitri, when you're coming up, I'm pretty sure everyone guys, they don't even care nowadays that they strike. It was embarrassing to strike out when you're coming up. Am I correct?
Oh my God! It used to be a knock on you. It
Yeah.
used to be you get a bad label. Oh, he strikes out too much. That's why Curtis Granderson got traded out of Detroit, because the label on him was he struck out too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to both New York teams and hit 40-something bombs a year. It's like
I
Wow.
love Curtis
good,
Granderson. That's a
good
great
call
name.
there. Yes,
You know-
he is.
You know,
He's a great guy.
Tony and I discussed this, and it drives us nuts. I mean, we'll be at a Dodger game, Angel game, where
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do players, when you were playing, you practiced bunting, correct? You knew how to bunt the ball down the line on both sides, and you can get people, you can move people over, correct? Do players even practice bunting anymore? I mean, it's not a skill set. It's not like Brett Butler's coming back from the past to bunt. I mean, it's a sad state in baseball for me and Tony, who loves the old,
Yeah.
the old school stuff with the bunting and the sack flies and everything. I mean, you don't see that anymore. I mean, it's hard to watch.
No, and the funny thing is, when it's playoff time, nut crunching time, and there's a situation where we need a bunt, they'll square up and pop that bad boy straight up.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I came up in the Cardinal organization. We
Yeah.
had to learn how to do everything before we got called up, and you had to master it. And I had to do it on both sides of the plate.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
You know,
Switch hitter.
And,
Yeah.
and so that first round with the two bunts, the hit and run, move the runner over with no outs to third base, infield in, infield back, squeeze, and oppo. I don't think they have that round anymore. And when I throw batting practice, when I throw batting practice to the team, I was with the Mahoning Valley Scrappers last year. I was managing that team in the draft league.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first round, I'm not throwing them straight either. I'm throwing curveballs and like what you gonna see in the game. Like, you might get a bunt and the guy's throwing a curveball. You gotta learn how to bunt that and getting that runner over it. Just the importance of getting that one run when you're facing that ace pitcher who struck out 15, but he gave up 2 runs and he lost 2-1. How did that happen? It's normally small ball or someone hit a 2-run bomb.
Yeah.
And we're not going to count on a 2-run bomb. So you have to know how to strategize the team to be able to score in any type of situation, not just hoping for the Earl Weaver 3-run bomb.
Right.
I mean, because you're going to get, I mean, look at this, like you're talking about the strikeout total. That's kind of ridiculous. There's no pride in, but it's also coming from the team telling the player, hey, we don't care how many times you strike out. We just need 40 home runs out of you. And like Kyle Schwarber last year, I mean, kudos to him to be able to hit 47 home runs and hit 170, 200 and some odd strikeouts. I mean,
wow.
I'm not knocking him at all, but those were his stats.
Yeah.
But he did exactly what the Phillies asked him.
That's what to do. Exactly.
And he leads off. He's the leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he strikes out 270 times a year. I mean, it's like you're a leadoff hitter. You want somebody that can get on base, steal second, and get and hit him in. I mean, now you have Schwarber as who doesn't steal bases, too. I mean, he's your leadoff, which is just shocking to me. But
exactly,
they're winning, so I guess they know.
What drives me nuts is, Ross and I will watch a game either via television or together at the game. First and second, no outs, and the team does not score. Come on. First and second, no outs.
That's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing, and it just drives me nuts.
I mean, in some cases back in the day, if a guy, especially a young guy, if he got up there first and second, no outs, and somehow didn't move the runners over or at least drive them in, and he did that on a consistent basis, he'd be wearing a Louisville Redbirds jersey or Memphis Chicks jersey.
Yeah, that's a minor league team, correct?
Yeah. They both are. I've been to Louisville games, just so you know. Yes, I'm very familiar. There's some great minor league teams in the South too that I've been to. The games are very entertaining. But let's. We skipped it pretty quick. I want to talk about how you lost a bunch of weight, you were diabetic. That helped you on your journey. When you hit your top weight back in the day, I'm just curious. This is a curiosity thing. What was your diet like? I mean, what were you eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner after the game? I mean, you had there was no dietitian for the Reds that was helping you with your diet, I assume. They
No, we
weren't
didn't.
like
We didn't have that back in the day. We'll just
they,
get on
they,
the scale and that. And like when I was up with the Cardinals, you know, they was like, "Hey, you gotta eat chicken and fish." So I eat a fish fillet and eat some Church's chicken. Like, and
there's nobody giving you a diet or giving you like any.
no, they try to, but it's like back in the day. That's when you have seasonless chicken breast that was dry as God knows what. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
vegetables with absolutely no seasoning, and it was just like, oh, this is torture. And
Wow.
then and then when I was in Washington, I hit 320. So basically, I hit my weight that year, and there was no infield hits.
Wow.
None.
Oh, I was out. I hit one in the hole. It was like shit. My big ass ain't gonna beat it out.
Did you have any stolen bases all that year?
That was nope. I don't think I had a single stolen base when I was with the Nationals.
Well, I don't think they were paying you to steal bases anyway. So
No, you
Yeah,
hit
because
293
yeah.
last year, so you're good.
yeah, no. And they told you chicken and fish, correct?
Well, that was the Cardinals. You need to eat chicken and fish.
Yeah. Well,
So I'll go drive up to McDonald's, get 4 fillet of fish, and then go to Church's Chicken and get an 8-piece dark. Add
wow.
bite the jalapeno and get that juice all on it and tear into
Extra
it.
crispy, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's got to be crispy.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of fish, tell us about your passion for fishing. I know you love it, and you're an avid fisherman, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like some of these guys who had their own boats yet and stuff because I'm only like 7 years into the fishing game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, due to the diabetes, I had what is it? I had something going on where I was hospitalized, and I was like, okay, I need to change. I'm going to be eating fish, and then all my buddies were like, yeah, let's go fishing, let's go fishing. I actually had a buddy that took me up on his name, Brian Barber, and he runs Operation Mission Fish because he was a Marine. And what happened with him, he was out there in the war, and you know he saw some things, and so when he came back, he started up this nonprofit which helps the soldiers and stuff that come back, both male and female, and they use fishing as therapy. And so the people, they're not even novice fishermen and stuff. They'll come out there and then they'll do the salute at 11:11 in the morning for the people that commit suicide from the PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And I started going out with them, and I was just enjoying fishing. And the first time it hit my hook, oh man,
You're hooked.
on. It was like, oh, what? I was like, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
They go reel. I started reeling, and then when I brought it up, it was just a fish like this big. It was like a little rockfish.
Oh wow!
I was proud because it finally bit. And then in 2017, I started going every day because I turned down the job with Royce Clayton to help him out at Oaks Christian that year. I was like, yeah, I think I'm a broadcast. There was no calls. And so I would go on the Speed Twin up here at the Channel Islands sports fishing. And I would go every day. And at first I didn't like grabbing the live bait because it was all squirmy and stuff. But then I got a hang of it, learned how to tie knots and do all of that stuff and cast. And then it was like I moved up from rock fishing to going after like the yellowtails, the pelagics, the halibut, the white sea bass. I've yet to catch a tuna. I got to go down to San Diego for that.
San Diego. And Dimitri, just so you know, I'm throwing the offer for you. If you ever go to Alaska, who has the best salmon fishing in the world, my in-laws live on the Kenai River full time, right next to Carl Malone. Carl Malone's right next door, and Tiger Woods is right down the street. And it's the best salmon fishing in the world. And my father-in-law, he takes people out all the time to fish, and you'll catch the best salmon fishing you'll have ever seen in your life. But if you ever get up there, let me know. If you ever go up there, I'll set you up because I've done it before, and it's unbelievable. I mean,
Dimitri's like, I'm leaving tomorrow.
I mean, it's a whole different. It will change your whole tune fishing. I mean, it's like. I mean, people from all over the world go there to fish on this Kenai River, and it's great. It's really
Yeah,
fun. But in the summer, don't go in the winter. Don't go in the winter. It's too cool. Too cold. No. Tony and I don't like the cold. We're not cold guys.
No.
Me neither.
We don't like the cold. But before we leave, I read something that you're very humble about. You don't talk about that much, and I'm going to bring it up just because I think it's like rock star level. You're big on you have a foundation, and you're really good with charities. And well, why don't you just tell us about what you do and how you're involved, and you just don't put your name on something. You are involved in this stuff, and this is stuff that I love. I mean, it's everything that I love about charity. Why don't you talk about it?
Well, it's the Dimitri D. Young Foundation that I had for a while, and it serves as a bridge from kids that can play but can't pay, and give them the opportunity to be able to go to these different camps and be able to play on different teams, so they get that exposure that normally they wouldn't get because they're not able to get out there and play in like these like USSSA perfect game and I mean, because those things, they're not cheap, they're quite expensive, and these kids need to get ranked so they can get out of whatever it is they're in and become a success story.
I mean, you're doing great work, and it's stuff. I mean, you always hear horror stories about charities, but this charity actually gives back, and you actually see the results, which I love. I mean, there's so many horrible stuff that goes on in the charity world, but your charity, and if people are listening and they want to give, how would they give to your charity?
That's a good question because I just changed it up about a year ago.
Well, at least Ross is trying to help. Ross is trying to help you.
Well, you can Google Dimitri Young Foundation. I'm sure there'll be a path how to give money, or you can contact Tony and myself, and we'll have it for you. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. I mean, I love helping the youth, and especially kids that want to be athletes. And sometimes, like you're right, money's the problem, and it shouldn't be. I mean, these kids should be able to play with everybody else.
Yeah, money and the opportunity.
And it's it's something that I commend you on. I think it's great that you give back. And if you ever get the itch to play softball on Wednesdays at 6:00,
no.
Why can't you play?
No.
I'll tell you one major reason.
Why? Cornrows? What is it?
Guys hitting the ball up the middle.
Yes.
You're a pull hitter. You've been a pull hitter your whole career. What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about, I played out here probably about 10 years ago with my buddies, and I was ready to fight a dude for hitting the ball right back up the middle. Because I started playing in South Florida when I was living out there.
We don't do California. That. First of all, the bats aren't juiced. We use
they're not shaved.
No, it's a very all the guys. Most of the guys I played with play college. Yeah, it's legit. And most of the guys I played with play college ball, and a couple guys play pro. But I'm just throwing it out there. If you want to drive to Oxnard to Encino, you're invited to play. That's all I'm saying. You get the itch.
You're going to have him hurt someone. You're going to have him hurt someone out there,
He'll pull the ball.
I'm going to hurt myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to hurt myself.
50-plus league, there's no sliding. There's you can run over the base. It's a lot of rules that you won't get hurt. Trust me. It's very easy. You'll have a good time. But do you sit down and watch baseball now? Do you watch games and we root for a certain team, or you just stay away?
Hard to watch, huh? It's hard to watch.
Yeah, I've turned into one of the old time players that I don't really watch today's game. I don't even know who the superstars are really outside of the Mookie Betts and the Freddie Freemans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ohtani,
Soto.
Yeah, Judge, of course.
Paul Skees. Yeah.
Yeah, he came. I won't say he came out of nowhere, but 2 years ago he came out of nowhere from going from Air Force to LSU and just dominating, and then being number one, and then starting pitcher at the All-Star game. That's pretty insane.
Yeah. Would you tell your followers to invest in his baseball card?
Yeah, if you can afford it.
Yeah.
Remember, we're trying to find the diamond in the rough right now. It's
I
like
Right.
get it.
he's shining bright. It's like you want to pay for his stuff, you better pay. You gotta pay top dollar.
Yeah. So you won't sit down. You won't sit down and watch the Pennant or World Series?
Oh, I'll definitely watch the playoffs. The
Yeah.
playoffs. I love playoff baseball because every move you make is going to be a deciding factor, whether you win or you go home. And so watching how everything flows, and then you listening to the announcers talk about the individual players on their strengths, and then you'll eventually see their weakness, and you see it get exposed, and then you see the top tier player not carrying his team on to the next round or to the World Series, and then you're like, okay, and me as a player, I also have my scout hat on, and I also have my coach's hat on, and looking and seeing like, all right, now if that guy would have done that, I played a what if game. If that guy would have hit the ball to the right side, that guy would have been over, and then that fly ball, the guy would have scored. They would have won that game as opposed to going extra innings and losing that game. They lost game 6, and now in game 7 they get blown out. Where if they won game 6, they would have advanced. And a lot of times they don't want to talk about that on
No.
air.
Oh no.
They kind of just like go over it like, oh well, he struck out 12 guys. What about that guy on third base with one out? How did he not score?
Right.
They don't talk about the negative that much in baseball at all. The announcers won't do it. They're talking
Well, they should.
about having.
Well, they should. They should.
Yeah, they're talking about having robots be umpires. I mean, the umpire would be there, but the umpire won't call balls and strikes. It's going to be be all done electronically. What's your take on that? I mean, I'm a purist. I'm against it. That's my take. But would you be against having like electronically done balls and strikes, or do you think it takes away from the game?
It takes away from the game, but however, I do like when they go like this when they're at the plate to try and get a call reversed, because I mean those umpires are back there like this.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, Angel Hernandez thrown me out.
Oh,
he's the worst.
So
happy career. He's gone.
He's the worst.
I was dancing he's horrible. I don't know.
He was bad back when I was playing. Because I always made that open joke, like let's say I was with the Reds and we're playing the Dodgers, and on the billboard it says the Reds versus the Dodgers with Angel Hernandez behind the plate.
Wow.
And he factors into every decision that happens in the game. Like his decision, what he calls, is a main factor of whether you win or lose, and it'll be a one call. It could have been ball 4 when it should have been strike 3. Now that guy walks in, and we lose by a run, and it's like because of that right there.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to end on. Like they ended Angel Hernandez's career. I think we should wrap this up. And
I have one more. I have one more quick question, Tony. I'm going to ask
no
because
problem.
I value Dimitri's opinion on this. And
must be food in Cincinnati.
No, I love Skyline Chili though.
Yeah. Yes.
Pete Rose, Hall of Fame or no?
Yeah,
Hall
he should
of
be
Fame?
in.
Okay, good. That's it, Tony. That's the only question I want to ask. I agree. I'm a big Pete Rose advocate. I love the guy. I knew him when I was a kid, and it's just sad. I hope he gets in before he dies. That's all I ask.
Exactly.
Who'd
you say should be in the Hall of Fame, Dimitri?
Oh, who should be in the Hall of Fame? Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Gary Sheffield. I mean, there are a lot of guys that was steroid guys where they never proved anything on that. It's just speculation on how big and strong they look.
Right.
They didn't have a vial that said, "Yep, we got him right here. He tested with this kind of steroid." And that congressional hearing where Buzz Selig said, we're cleaning up the game. It was like, why didn't you clean up the game back in 95, 96 when you knew it was running rampant?
Right.
Because
it was helping MLB at the time.
Yeah. So it was like they just turned their back on all of these guys. And I was like, y'all are just some shitty people.
Wow. Well, Dimitri, it was a pleasure having you on our show, man. Ross and I, we really appreciate you, and we've been trying to get you on here for a while because you keep it 100, and we love it, man. And
Yeah, well, thank you.
And continued success. And someone in the MLB needs to hire this guy as a hitting coach. So if any owners or GMs are listening, hey, there's your guy right there. You know.
Hey, you know what? If they're listening, y'all need a special consultant. You know, because one of these days y'all gonna get off of the whole analytics. E equal MC squared does not equal hits.
Exactly. So we'll end on that note.